I think one of the main things that I learned in the past year about myself is it is okay to be vulnerable. It is okay to put yourself out there without curating it so much. People should look at you as a normal human and not somebody that has superpower because that is not realistic. I'm only setting myself up to fail if I built up a storyline such. And I actually love this version so much more than what it was before because now I can pick up the phone and, the second I wake up and record something and feel so free and liberating to just post it without feeling, wait, what filter should I use? Should I make my nose smaller or should I put on some makeup to look perfect? Or nobody really cares. I think that we relate to humans, relate to, people that are raw. And I'm presenting that right now, which is so free.
Hi everyone, my name is Stephen Wakabayashi and you're listening to Yellow Glitter, perspectives from queer Asian creatives and changemakers making impact. This episode we're joined by our returning guest, ONCH. Welcome, ONCH.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming back. For us, ONCH is a multi-talented artist and jewelry designer based in LA. His unique pop-out tray aesthetic blends elements of pop culture, fantasy, and humor in unique highbrow, kitschy designs that capture the imagination. ONCH often features whimsical characters and unconventional materials such as candies, toys, chicken wings, and found objects. His work has been featured in museums such as Metropolitan Museum of Art and worn by celebrities like Paris Hilton, Kate Moss, and Nicki Minaj.
Hi, welcome back to my channel.
Well, thanks for coming back.
It was a mouthful.
That was a mouthful. Yeah. What else is a mouthful?
I don't know. You tell me.
Many things. But you know what else is a mouthful? All the stuff you've been doing this past year.
Listen, I've been hustling. I've been working really hard trying to, keep my legacy alive. And hopefully when I'm gone, I'll be remembered for a couple more years.
just a few more years, yes.
I cannot.
But as your friend and also collaborator, seeing you work and hustle from afar, I think there's some really great things that you did this year, right? In collaboration with Keith Haring, Hollywood 100. It was huge as a part of your pipeline of projects last year since we last talked about dreams. And I just wanted to ask, how was it collaborating and working with these brands?
It's definitely a dream come true, Stephen. I think to be able to work with legacy brands and iconic landmarks, it's an ONCH 20 years ago would have never imagined that I could do.
Yeah.
And I think it's definitely part of my manifestation. Looking back to our last podcast, for working with Keith Haring, he is a legacy artist that I've always looked up to. He is the person that I idolize. So being highly inspired by him, creating art with his foundation was just such a dream come true. To be able to take his iconic images and reimagine it in my way, in my style, was so surreal. And the pieces that we created were liquid necklaces. So like necklaces with liquid inside of it that's ever moving and flowing. And I truly believe in metamorphosis. So when a necklace is always changing because of your movement, to me, that is very special.
Yeah.
Now they're available on my website. They're available at the Vogue Museum, Mocha Museum, the Andy Warhol Museum, just to name a few. So, and I think, didn't I give you the couple pieces?
You gave me a couple pieces. I think everyone has to have a friend that always brings gifts. ONCH, whenever we hang out, always brings goodies. And sometimes I'm like, oh my God, these are so nice. And you gifted me the Keith Haring necklaces. And whenever I go to special events, I actually put them on. And when people ask me about it, I proudly say, this is ONCH.
Oh, thank you. You're such a good friend. Hey, listen, I think it's definitely part of my love language as an Asian American growing up.
Mm-hmm.
My family didn't tell me they loved me.
Mm-hmm.
I think that me going through the same experience. And because of that, the way that they showed me love was putting food on my table and giving me money. And to me, as an adult, I have to, I wouldn't say unlearn that, but definitely add new ways that I show my love, which
Hmm.
beyond gifting, but also telling you, hey, Stephen, I love you and you're my friend and I cherish you.
Mm.
So these are things that I've learned throughout the years. So yes, gifting is something special to me. So you're always on the receiving end.
Well, I receive it graciously, and you also gifted me recently your collab with the Creme Shop, your nail stickers. I actually have some on
Oh
still
my God, I love that.
from when we were we were last hanging out.
It lasted a long time. You don't work too much with your hands, right?
Right? It actually lasted a long, and I went to Austin, I went to Dallas, and it's still on my finger.
Wow, amazing. I mean, mine were gone like a day and a half later.
No, really?
Yeah, but it's also because I work so heavily with my hands, like making jewelry and all that. It gets scratched, it gets peeled off. So it's very much that. But yeah, that was a really special collaboration for me to team up with a Hollywood Sign and a Hollywood Chamber of Commerce
Hmm.
and kind of I would say like maybe 6 or 7 co-branded collaborations with brands that I personally love, from the Creme Shop to
Hmm.
Key and, with one of my friends, Gary Baseman, and we created so many wonderful products across the board. And it was very special. Partner up with a landmark that is not just 9 letters, but a dream, a feeling, a lifestyle was so much of a challenge because
Hmm.
there really isn't a lot for me to work with except for my personal experiences. And to kind of translate that from a feeling, an experience into an illustration, a whole style guide was definitely challenging.
Mm. Yeah. But, the whole repertoire of stuff that you did actually for just your one person shop how do you do it? Like,
It's a lot of passion
yeah.
and a lot of believing in myself that anything can happen. And I've seen you grow and evolve as a creator, as an individual, as a business owner to
Hmm.
inspire me to do better and do more. Do I have dark circles under my eye? 95% of the time, yeah. Do I wish that I have a big team behind me? Sure.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, I know that I'm hustling for myself and for my legacy alive. And that ultimately is what drives me every day to do the most and do the best.
Yeah. Well, talk me through. I see in your background a bunch of different skateboards and a bunch of different things. Do you want to share a little bit about maybe a few of those pieces?
Sure. So I'm the ultimate poser. I don't know how to skate, but I do have a skateboard deck wall because I designed them. To me, it is wall art. And I feel like when people are buying a piece of art, when it's printed on paper, that is so like 2012. Now we
Hmm.
on maple wood, and so it'll last forever. But truth be told, I have to kind of bring up why these even came about. So, and I think I probably told you the story behind the scene, but I think it was back in 2021. I was heavily bullied when I was
Hmm.
on a platform that I was doing live selling on. And this person specifically that bullied me really kind of drove me into depression. I decided to never go back on that platform because they did not have my back and
Hmm.
chose to go on to network, which is a very high beast kind of platform where all their buyers like skateboard decks or sneakers.
Hmm.
As a small business, I cannot afford to make sneakers. So instead, I started making skateboard decks. So I think that it's kind of those things where I took a really bad experience and made a lot of money from it.
You heard it here, folks. Turn your trauma into dollars.
I think that's the
But they're
best.
beautiful,
I mean, it is visually and, from a bank account. But I also think that,
Yeah.
it's one of those things where I hope that inspires others to take all the hardships that they've been through and, people bullying you or just the trauma that you had in your life and make
Hmm.
something amazing out of it because that is the ultimate success and ultimate FU to the people that have put you in that position.
Mm, yeah.
And so for what you're seeing, we have the QP collaboration, we have the Little Prince collaboration, we have Gloomy Bear, and we have, as you can see, AAPI month. I did a co-branded project with Hot Topic. So I kind of put those on skateboard decks also. But altogether, I have, I think, 25 skateboards so far. And, I don't want to look like a skate shop. So I only have 10 on my
Oh,
wall.
maybe you could do something there. It's like a collection, or it's a maybe there's something to explore, just like bring it all together. I think that's actually really cool.
I think so too. I actually have all of them in my archive.
Mm.
So, at some point, I'd like to be able to show a skateboard exhibition from a person that's not skate. I think that's such a funny story and, you know, something that's very ironic.
Or it's like a runway show and everyone walks out with a skateboard with also some pieces of relevant jewelry.
Okay, naked with jewelry and skateboard.
Yes, yes, yes. Yes.
Yeah, I love that very much.
And also, lately, I've been seeing you on social media all the time. And for everyone listening and watching, when I'm on TikTok randomly at the most honest hours of the day, speaking of hustling, on just on TikTok live at like 1 in the morning, hustling and selling jewelry. And it's been a huge shift, right? For yourself, especially we've chatted about it together about this space of social media and navigating it, and the platform, like you mentioned, that you were initially on and you departed was another social media platform that was commerce centered, right? And then moving into different spaces. One, I love seeing you thrive, and it just always brings me so much joy to see you really shining. I think you actually do such a great job of creating such a beautiful atmosphere on your live streams and also your content. Some are really, really hilarious. And I mean, my question to you is what has that transition been like in trying to reconcile and create a new relationship with social spaces and social media?
I think, that transition was very scary, to
Hmm.
be honest. I think that when it comes to any change, there's always a lot of fear involved.
Mm.
But without fear, it just means that you're not going to try your best and do your best. And so I do like to see a little bit of that. With that said, I see how the way social media is changing and the way that influencer culture is changing, and
Hmm.
people like authentic, people like real. And so that's why when I was encouraged by a couple of friends to go on TikTok, I was so afraid because I think that, a lot of times my image was very curated. I try to
Hmm.
make sure that I put out a specific kind of message and operates very much like a brand. But I think in 2024, it's a very different space that we're in. And as a creator, I have to evolve and I have to keep on changing to make sure that I am relatable. So with that said, as a small business owner, I realized that showing people behind the scene, bring people along with me from the creating process to the manufacturing process to seeing the final product and shooting a promo of products is such a vital part of success. People want to see that you are a one man show and you are creating stuff from scratch and you don't have a huge team of people behind you making things happen. You're just guiding them or creative directing them. And that was scary because I wanted to, not gonna lie, for so many years, I wanted to have people think that I have a lot of elves in my studio making things happen. I have an Andy Warhol factory with a bunch of minions that are making art happen.
Hmm.
And, because I thought that would keep my mystery alive. But I don't think it's about mystery right now. I think it's about really being transparent
Hmm.
about hard work you put in and how hands on you are with your business. People relate to that. People gravitate towards that story and they really want to support somebody that is working so hard.
Mm.
So, oh, I was going to say, when I sell jewelry till 3 o'clock in the morning and in a setting that is so and so raw, it's because at the end of the day, I realized that people want to buy a product from another human.
Mhm.
They want to buy it from someone that they can really relate to and know that we're friends. And
Mhm.
I'm making so many new friends on TikTok. The algorithm is on another level of amazing. And I'm creating a community. And that to me is so,
Where do you think social media is headed?
I think social media is headed to a place where there is no editing, there's no filter, and it is so raw because we're so tired
Mm,
of looking at curated feeds. We're so tired of looking at that perfect life. We've seen that for at least 15 years now, and we're tired of it.
mm.
Aren't you tired of it?
It's exhausting.
Yeah. And the FOMO that it creates
Hmm.
is so mentally draining and really bad for our mental health.
Hmm. Do you see the same thing also with Instagram, or do you see a stark divide between TikTok and Instagram still?
So I think Instagram is still so curated.
Hmm.
I think it is something that the people that are heavily using Instagram will have to unlearn how they navigate. I remember back in the day when Instagram first started, posted our food. We posted
Yeah,
this random sitting on a couch and like of the ceiling,
yeah.
posted all these random things. And that was so
I
interesting.
think that was the most authentic that platform had ever been.
Well, I agree. I agree. And that was so much fun. And that's why I think that that's where we are shifting to. And TikTok to me is very much that, where when you go on each TikTok account, yes, they might have a common theme of a person, but that's just how each individual are. Like we're all uniquely our own. We have things that we would like to talk about and our point of view, our perspective, but it's not as curated. It's not beautiful. There are things and stuff that are thrown in randomly. And that I think is the beauty of TikTok
Mm,
and the beauty of the social media in the future. And not going to lie, I think that
mhm,
even the way that people are buying products and being driven and inspired to buy something is no longer, I guess it's no longer influencer driven
hmm,
because now we know better that influencers are being paid a lot of money to talk about a product.
mhm,
But what is so beautiful about TikTok is everyone can be in an affiliated program. Everybody can be their own influencer. So I love seeing mothers from the Midwest sitting there talking about
mm,
this chapstick they bought from a small business. I love seeing this random grandmother sitting there talking about a box of cereal that they really enjoy and love, and they got compensated for it. And what is so great about that is they're not getting compensated before they use the product. They're getting compensated after they love the product so much and they are able to really, tell you.
mm.
And that to me is the true influence of the people.
Is anyone an influencer?
I think everyone's an influencer and everybody is a somebody.
Mhm. And what is something that you've learned over this past year about yourself through social media and getting your work out there in either like a more authentic way or in a live stream manner?
I think one of the main things that I learned in the past year about myself is it is okay to be vulnerable.
Hmm.
It is okay to put yourself out there without curating it so much. People should look at you as a normal human and not somebody that has superpowers because that is not realistic. I'm only setting myself up to fail if I built up a storyline such. And I actually love this version so much more than what it was before
Mm,
because now I can pick up the phone and, the second I wake up and record something and feel so free and liberating to just post it without feeling, wait, what filter should I use? Should I make my nose smaller or should I put on some makeup to look perfect? Or,
mhm,
what about my hair? Nobody really cares. I think that we relate to human, relate to, people that are raw. And I'm presenting that right now, which is so free.
mm. Why why do we curate ourselves? If all of this, right, is freely available, we have access to it without really even trying, right, in the form that we are now, why do you think we were so heavily curated with our lives?
I think there are two things that made us the way we are, curating every little piece of information we put out there.
Hmm.
I think the first one comes from insecurities.
Mm,
all want to be perfect,
Mm,
whatever that means. We all want to share a perfect life, a perfect world, a perfect smile.
mhm,
And I think now we realize nothing is perfect.
mhm,
There's flaws in everything, even if it's 100% or 99%. And I think the second thing is judgment,
mm,
judgment from others. And I think judgment from others makes you, which ties back to your insecurities,
mhm.
makes you feel like you need to present yourself in a way where others will click the like button and click the share button or save your post. I think those are the two things.
Mhm. Yeah. I think, well, how I relate to it, I totally see exactly what you're saying. But for myself, and I've talked about this on the podcast before, of speaking on behalf of many debatable topics, ending up with, the context was there were some things I was witnessing, wrote some articles about it, I got some content out, spoke about, the Asian culture and standing for it. And community at large, mostly Westerners, really didn't want to hear it. And it went viral. I got a ton of death threats. Still to this day, I get like, not like once a week as much anymore, but now I still get a few messages here and there. The articles aren't as popular as it was. But since I launched that, that was like a good like 6 years. It was a while ago, and I think where I struggle with, at least for myself, is it's I love the authenticity and I love watching people's authenticity, but even for myself, as running my business, doing all of these things, it's just so hard to get back in this space because there's also people who are so nasty,
Yeah.
and it's just been so, you know me, it's just, I think it's so valuable to have so many of these conversations, but sometimes I feel like social media is really hard to have true, genuine, in-depth conversation. And so I guess not like a question, but more so just the observation is that like we have also authenticity, but also behind it, there's this whole machine that really thrives off of vitriol, hate speech. Twitter is all mostly that. And I'm just curious, I guess the question is like, on top of all this, like, how are you navigating all of that?
Let me clear my throat a little. Well, I think that when you're living your authentic self, there's
Hmm.
always people coming for you
Yeah.
and try to tear you down. One thing that I always remember when somebody said, "Lunch, when you shine so bright, there's always going to be somebody that wants to dim your light."
Mm,
And I think that's very true. But
mm,
with that said, is it scary and is it dangerous sometimes to speak your truth and be authentically yourself? Yes, I think so. Because there's so
mm.
many out there that either are envious that you're able to do so,
Yeah.
or maybe they are hiding who they really are. And you living your authentic self scares them.
Mm,
I applaud you for putting yourself out there in that way. And I definitely feel like anybody that's willing and are able to put themselves out there, speak the truth and speak how they really feel about, whichever subject matter it could be, they deserve an award.
mm.
Cause I think for me specifically, I focus on my small business
Yeah.
and I don't talk about political stuff. I don't talk about any so polarizing. I think being myself is already pretty polarizing. And so I just,
Yeah.
yeah,
But it's also, I mean, I'll say, I think it's fair to create boundaries, right? Of like, authenticity doesn't also mean you have to share everything and anything, right?
I think we are not multimillionaires yet. We don't have 24-hour security yet. And when that day, well, sure, go ahead and share every part and every aspect of your
Mm,
life, and geotag everything.
mm,
But until that day comes, I think it's smart to always protect yourself, knowing that whenever you put out there can be tracked back to you as an individual. Your location can be
yeah.
found and you don't want to put yourself in danger. I think that it's one thing that is a little scary about social media too, is that
Hmm.
people can find you any
Yeah.
given moment.
Especially the live stream part of it too. It's live. This is exactly what's happening. This is exactly where you are.
No filter.
No filter. Yeah. It's, I think what's fascinating is also we're more connected than ever before. And what I personally like is also the aspect about video. You added another dimensionality to people, right? Whereas before, like it had to do a lot with like internet services, right? Like you had to have internet be more accessible in price so that people can have data plans. When data plans were unlimited, then you get more content being on their phone, right? You remember like back in the day, it's like data was so expensive and now it just comes default. Now they don't even have phones with phone lines, right? It's just all data, especially in China. And I think there's so many layers of all of the going back to the curation piece, right? I think we were trying so hard to create this carefully curated image of each other as a part of navigating how we want to show up in the world. And now it's almost like the door is open.
Yeah.
There's a camera there. And I also applaud people who can show up as in themselves. I see some TikTok accounts. I'm like, you have a lot of guts.
Yeah, kudos to you for sure.
Some people. But I also love, like, it's now like, you know what I really love about TikTok is the whole aesthetics piece is getting really torn down. The whole, I have to be skinny, I have to be lighter skinned, I have to be beautiful, I have to, like, all of that is getting torn down because,
Isn't that beautiful? Isn't
hmm
that so beautiful to see
hmm
where we're going and people are getting just mentally healthier because of that?
yeah,
I love, I love it so much.
yeah. And I think it's headed in a more positive way. And I think also there's a lot we can still learn with the platforms and how bullying and harassment is addressed, you know. But I just remembered what I was saying was, especially for you and myself, being queer, being Asian, I think it's like what I've learned over my how many years I've reconciled my relationship with social media and also my businesses, like we're slowly starting to put stuff out, is going back to your point, this need to be really mindful at how we protect our sanctity, protect our space, protect our energy.
I agree. Penny, if you don't protect yourself, who's going to protect you?
hmm And I love the whole aspect of when you shine so brightly that other people want to dim it. Why do you think people do that? I see that, like, for me, a big part of my growth with even friendships was having to reconcile friends who really wanted to do that, you know, not just strangers, right?
You know, we can explain low caliber people. I think it's really hard to explain that, but there are a couple of things that comes to mind is from their insecurity
Mm,
and from being afraid. Maybe they're afraid that if you are living this life and more people are living their authentic self, they are going to be left behind because they have all these walls and facade that
hmm
line. That is scary to them, I'm sure.
hmm
Being envious, I think that is just because they don't see that they're able to do what you do.
mm,
So instead, they want to dim your light. They want to take you down because they feel like that's their power, that them taking their power back.
mm.
When I look at these people, you know, there's so many of them out there. I just say my little prayer to myself. Thank you that I'm able to be authentically myself and be, you
Mm.
know, comfortable in my own skin. And I hope that they will too at some point.
What else do you tell yourself or remind yourself of that keep you going?
You know, truth be told, I have a lot of self reminders every day because I do have severe imposter syndrome.
hmm
So I always tell myself that I am great and I am worthy of all the greatness that come my way and I can do it.
hmm
A lot of times when I'm given a task or a project, I know it's beyond what my abilities are, but I say yes to it because I love a good challenge.
hmm
And when that happens, I have to consistently remind myself that I can do this.
hmm
Anybody else can do it. I can do it better.
Mm.
And I also always remind my friends is if I can do it, you can.
I think after having known you for so many years, one, I think the world of you. I think you're so talented. I think you're so also kind. Over the years, I've really seen your practice mature in the sense of, I think actually Hollywood 100 was a really great example for your work, right? Where it went from this is what I can do to this is who I can bring along with me. And I think for just watching from the outside in, you creating space for others to collaborate, platforming other people, giving people opportunity. I thought it was such a beautiful evolution of your work. And as a person to just be able to do that, it makes me even want to like consistently, ask myself like who I can. So,
When you are doing that, you know the yellow glitter, you're providing
mm,
people like us with a voice
mm,
and a space for us to talk about our experiences. This in itself is so magical. I hope that
mm,
give yourself credit for this. And I know that we believe in the same thing, which
mhm.
is lowly on top. So what a
Mhm.
pyramid. If you're at the top 1% of the most successful people in the world, everyone else is below you and beneath you. And what you have to do to not be alone and
Yeah.
have friends is make sure that everybody is elevated along with you. So you hold their hand, you try to say,
Mhm.
hey, listen, come with me because we're going to succeed together. It is so much more fun when you can go on a vacation and
Yeah.
enjoy a dinner where everyone is contributing to it, as opposed to the most successful person paying for the meal. Is that correct?
Mhm.
You will feel resentment
Oh,
at
yeah.
the end.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Group of friends are relying on you for your success and kind of using your wealth that you have.
Yes, yes,
You
yes.
start feeling resentment. And I think
Mhm.
what is
Yes,
so
yes,
great is
yes.
to be able to bring your friends along and
Yeah.
work together. Because at the end of the day, that's also how you create the most unbreakable bond.
Yeah.
It's by working together and partnering up to create something to work on a common goal, which is success.
Mm. What do you say to people who say they need to have boundaries between like personal life and work life? I feel like as far as myself goes, and I see overlaps with you, is I actually see as things mature in different aspects, they all kind of converge. At least for myself, where it's like I actually want to be friends with the people I work with, and vice versa. Why would I want to be friends with people I don't want to work with? And why would I want to work with people I don't want to be friends with? And I feel like as things mature, even on the relationship front, right? Like, why would I want to be with somebody who I can't share these aspects of my life? And I feel that things are more and more converging. Whereas before, easily like 15 years ago, that Steven, 20 years ago, that Steven would be like, no, this is this, and this is this.
This is such an interesting conversation. I'm so glad you brought this up.
Mm-hmm.
I actually was talking to a friend of mine and I said, I love my work friends better
Mm-hmm.
because we are working on a common goal. We share common experience
Mm-hmm.
and we're able to have a lot of subject matters to talk about within work and outside of work because we actually what each other do, behind our video chats and after our,
Mm-hmm.
and to me, I think that is a very special friendship.
Mm-hmm.
And most of my friends, I think you included, we started from a work space
Mm-hmm.
and we started to get to know each other more. We love
Mm-hmm.
each other. And so we are able to go out and have dinners. And then that's how our bond's starting to grow. And now I know that we're not going to ever be apart.
Mm-hmm.
I think people are with you for a reason, a season, and a lifetime. And for all of work friends, I think they're brought in for a reason. In return, after a long time of working together, and now they're lifelong friends, they're lifers.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I think that, in the past, we believed in having really separate work-life balance and boundaries and putting everybody in different boxes. But I don't think that's the case anymore because we're able to find like-minded people. Why are you trying to drive them away? Because they work with you.
Mm,
I think
mm,
it's like the universe's TikTok algorithm. you
Mm.
know?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. No, it's true. I think there's something really special about what you just said. It's like, it's not the fact that you're trying to keep things separate, but you're almost putting people in a box, right? Like, why keep that person in the friendship box? You don't know if they could be a good collaborator, a good client, a good colleague, right? Why put the friend in the friend box and keep them in there, you know? I think that that's kind of a aha moment where it's like, it's not holding them apart, but rather you just have such a designated role for them that's really keeping you apart from realizing true potential slash fluidity of people and their beings and their personalities.
And I'm not saying that there's no boundary. And this is what I've always done to my friends that I've met through work is
Hmm.
if I'm reaching out to them about work specific
Yeah.
conversation, I'm going to text them and go, hey, can we have a work call?
Hmm.
And after that, I would text them and go, hey, this is going to be a friendship call.
Hmm.
I think that is how you set your boundaries
Yeah.
and make sure it doesn't get interwoven together and
Yeah.
feelings don't get hurt. Because I know sometimes work conversations are a little tougher than a friendship conversation.
Mm,
So when you set those boundaries and say, hey, this is going to be a friendship call, they know where you're coming from.
mm,
And that is how you're able to protect your friendship and keep it alive and make sure that it
mm.
doesn't get so complicated.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think it's another level of trust when you can give each other sometimes hard feedback or feedback that's hard to hear as a friend. Like the list goes on of whichever spheres people occupy. And I think the world is so, what is definite? You know, there's nothing really definite. And at the same time, like, how do we know what's best, where people should go? And I think the more open minded we could be, even like 20 years from now, from today, I would never in my wildest dreams be thinking I'm doing what I'm doing today. Right?
Agree. Don't limit your possibilities. Don't limit your potential.
No. What were you doing 20 years ago?
I knew you were going that. I saw it coming. Old friend, I used to do a reality television show, and that's what happened. Oh,
Okay, but I have to give you accolade. I really think, I really think like, like you've really evolved is not the right word, but I think you've become more realized. I think you've had these facets of you all along, but you've become so much more realized as a being over the years.
I think so. I think experience makes you grow and mature, and practice makes improve.
Hmm.
One of those things that I realized from the past life, which is 20 years ago, and being on reality television, is I
Hmm.
was being affected myself, and I was living
Hmm.
my real life in a way that is so public. And right after that, that's when social media came about.
Hmm.
So I started kind of curating everything that I'm putting out there,
Yeah.
which was so unrealistic.
Yeah.
So to be honest, right now I'm back to my square one. I'm back to where I started. It's like a full
Mm,
football moment that I can be my real authentic self on TikTok
mm,
and tell my story the way I want to tell it
yeah.
without having the pictures and the curated grids, none of that.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting how our life always come full circle. And I feel like right now it is one of my come full circle.
Mm. Well, I'm obsessed with that 20 years ago you because honestly, you really were one of the first queer Asian people in media. And I think media back in the day was not the most equitable, not the most empowering. And for you to have been able to navigate that and come out the end that you've come out now, like one, like I'm so proud of you as a friend. Like it's like so much work in the making. And also, I think it's trippy. It's like this come full circle moment, you know? Now it's like you're literally back
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
space for everyone to observe, everyone to look at. Live like live streaming. Yeah.
I think it's right now we are all as individuals living our own reality television show.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, we're great about this show that we're living in. There's no edits.
Mm,
It's just being yourself and just doing what you do best because
mm,
people can and will see right through your BS. They do.
mm,
To try to think that the consumers and your friends out there
mm-hmm,
will believe in all of your fabricated stories and your big persona. You're kidding. You're
mm-hmm.
just lying to yourself.
To get to where you are, like what's a hard truth you had to reconcile with and learn along the way that really changed you for the better?
I think the hard truth that I had to learn, nothing ever will be perfect.
Mm,
I have to see that if it's 80% there, be grateful and be content.
mm,
What you're putting out there, what you're creating or your life,
mm,
because what we have seen for the past 10 years through social media, it's
mm-hmm.
all perfection and it's all fake.
All fake.
We've seen these people with 3.5 million followers. They can't sell one product to save their life.
Mm,
People with 1.2 million followers that are broke. And
mm-hmm,
not to say that there's anything wrong with that. What I'm saying is it's all curated. It's all fabricated. It
mm-hmm,
is not realistic.
mm-hmm. Not relatable.
Yeah.
If you could change something back in the day or give yourself give yourself the lesson in learning. I think the perfectionism piece is really good. What would there be anything you do differently?
Have no fear.
Mm,
Don't let fear be the limiting factor to do something, say something, ask a question,
mm,
be bold enough to do it because
mm,
ultimately you can never fail.
mm.
I think that I was definitely driven by fear a lot of times because
Yeah.
I'm too afraid that if I ask this question, I might seem stupid. I'm too afraid if I reached out to a specific person, then they would,
Say no.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm too afraid of so many different things. I'm afraid to, go on this venture because I'm afraid of getting hurt. Life is too short.
Mm,
Life is too short. And I realized that the fears that have held me back
yeah.
were just all mental.
Mm-hmm.
None of those are real. Those were all, your mind playing tricks on you.
Mm.
So to tell my younger self, go for it would be my biggest thing.
What would you say to little Anch? Oh,
Right.
it's a photo. Oh yeah. Oh, you know what? You know what the thought was? I was thinking the whole perfectionist piece. I was like, that's actually very Zen. That's very Buddhist, in a way that's like,
Mhm.
because what they would say is, what is perfection? At what point is perfection? Can you pinpoint when perfection is, And the whole aspect of
All relevant.
it's all relevant. Exactly.
So
And
relevant.
there's no such thing as perfectionism. And the reality is also like the future and the past are not for sure, for certain, because it's not right now, Past is what's happened in the past. We can't relive it as much as we want, but also the future, we can be in the future in our minds, but beyond what's in our thinking capacity and imagination, it isn't this at this moment, this tangible being, how we're at this moment at this certain point. And what I really appreciated about like mindfulness and Buddhist philosophy is really the aspect of understanding, acknowledging that so that you can be more present and be more mindful about right now, here and now. And I love the things about, having less fear and all that. Like, what is fear aside from anticipating this future and having these anxious feelings come up, right?
Yeah, I agree.
And it isn't for certain, right? Yeah.
What is fear?
Some people say it's like physiologically the same like reaction in your body as like anxiety, fear, and also excitement. And that contextually we say one is the other based on like if it's something that, it is unexpected. We don't know what it is, right? technically still, who knows if it's fear or excitement, you know?
True.
Yeah.
So true. For all the viewers and listeners out there,
Hmm.
you're younger. I just want to tell you, don't have fear to do anything. Go out and ask the person on the thing. Don't be afraid of
Mm,
rejection. Don't be afraid to fail. If you want
mm,
to have,
yeah.
if you want to start your own business, go for it. Go do it. You don't have to have the most perfect business plan because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, if you failed, that's a lesson you'll learn. And the next time you do it
Hmm.
better. Always want to encourage everyone. And like I said it earlier before, if I can do it, you can do it better because you're
Hmm.
learning from my experience and my feeling and my mistake.
Mm. The irony too is when we're younger, that's when we are also able to make the most mistakes and recover and change, and yet we hold the most fear when we're younger.
But I think it's also because when we're younger, we're not as knowledgeable, we're not as experienced.
Hmm.
So in return, the fear seems so much more realistic.
Mm,
And that's the cycle. I think that, as you get older, as you mature, as you've experienced more with people's experiences, you start to realize that none of those are real. Those are all just made up, make
hmm.
believe.
You've read about it, somebody's told you,
That,
you've imagined it. I guess the question is like, what would it's hypothetical, like question. You don't have to answer, but it's like asking everyone. It's like, what would your life be if you were to live it fearlessly?
yeah. What would my life be? Um, it might be more of a train wreck. It might be better. Might be more of a train wreck, but might be good. I don't know. But, which side you'll never find out.
Hmm. Oh, I love that. I love that. Quick questions for you. What is bringing you joy lately?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. I think feeling that I'm working toward something greater than myself and something greater than product creation.
Mm-hmm.
That makes me smile.
Mm-hmm.
And what that means is
Mm-hmm.
knowing that what I create today in 10 years time, in 50 years time, people can look back at it and it can make them feel something.
Mm-hmm.
It could be it could be happiness. It could be questioning why I did it. It could be anything as long as they're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
That to me is what makes me smile on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm. On top of that, what is inspiring you lately?
So I've always been inspired by people in life.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the characters, especially living in LA, we come across so many different characters and also
Yes.
their stories and their style. They have always inspired me and they continue to inspire me.
Mm,
Not something money can buy. It's not something that you can read in a book or Google on the internet and find.
mhm,
I think that it's just living your life and meeting
mhm.
all these wild people.
Quite wild. And then what is one lesson you'd like our listeners to take away with?
One lesson,
One lesson or last takeaway?
staying persistent is so important
Mm,
because I see a lot of people around me that will focus on one thing and be discouraged. And when they don't meet success immediately,
mm,
and they will switch to something else and move on to another project and move on to another scenario, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, location, whatever.
mhm,
I think stay persistent because I've been doing what I do for the past 20 years.
mhm,
Not been an easy journey. And I think you know that.
mm.
And a roller coaster ride. And for all of our friends that have seen me 20 years ago, knows that I do not love roller coasters. It's not my favorite. It's actually something that is the biggest fear in my life. And I didn't realize that my
Mm,
roller coasters, a physical one, was actually
mm,
my fear of, well, life sometimes because it
mm,
is so unpredictable. It is such a thrilling journey.
mm,
So I would say stay persistent because at the end of the day, either meet success and you're able to attain everything, every goal you've ever wanted. And that will feel so sweet because you've worked so hard on it. You put your heart and your soul right into it.
Mm,
Or you don't meet your goals, but at the end, you have the best life lesson and best life story to tell.
mm.
And that's something money can't buy.
Oh, I love that. And for people who want to find you, get in touch with you, what's the best way?
Oh my gosh. So you can find me on my website. It's www.onch.us because there's a little onch in all of this. And go to my Instagram, which is at onch, ONCH, TikTok, which is onch TV because somebody decided to take my name. So it's onch television.
Hmm.
And Facebook, just type it onch, you'll be able to find me. What else do we have? X is also onch, ONCH.
OnlyFans? No?
No, Yellow Glitter Podcast.
Yes. And so, one other question I have for you is what's coming up in the year for you?
There are a lot of fun projects, Stephen, and these are projects that have really just kind of made the young onch so proud. First, we're creating a Teletubbies collection. We are making them queer icons. So we're releasing a collection of jewelry, accessories, skateboard decks, and sketchbooks because I want our friends to be able to be creative and stay creative, not by just words, but with illustrations and doodles. I want to keep on kind of encouraging that. And there's a collection that we're releasing with Why Are You Shoes. We're creating shoes together.
Oh, you finally getting shoes.
I know. So now you can take a walk in my shoes.
That's a good one.
I'm teaming
Yeah.
up with Strawberry Shortcake. It is the 40th anniversary of the Strawberry Shortcake brand. And I think it's so important to bring nostalgia back into lives of what we call cadult because, it really triggers and unlocks a special feeling, which I've always really cherished. And I think that's what Strawberry Shortcake does. I'm teaming up with one of the most famous hot dog companies in LA called Pink's Hot Dog. It's interesting because
Mhm.
I get to reimagine how hot dogs should look on a necklace and on a skateboard and on products. And that is very exciting.
Yeah.
I'm also working on scent because as a creator that focuses on accessory, I feel like your smell is a big part of your accessory. Do you realize that people will never forget how you make them feel? They will also never forget how you smell.
Really?
Yes, think about it.
Mm.
If you've encountered a person with bad breath or BO,
Hmm.
does that leave
Yeah.
a special memory in your mind?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm teaming up with Kappa Toys
Yeah.
to create pig fried chicken scent, which kind of little paying homage to the pig fried chicken necklace I made Nicki Minaj. We're also creating a scent called strawberry cotton candy for anybody
Mm.
that loves something that is sweeter, that's more bubbly. So those are some of the projects we're working on. Oh,
Yeah.
never have I ever. We're creating these bullet press on nails that I'm so excited about because that is another piece of accessory that I think that people don't realize that press on nails
Hmm.
are accessory. And as an accessory designer, which is my specialty, I want
Wow.
to be able to cover all bases.
You can wear all of ONCH all at once too.
Yes, I can.
Get the nails, get the, you know what's next? Hair.
Oh my gosh, I would love that.
Yeah.
Like hair extensions, because I have pretty hair too, and you. And maybe that's a thing that we finally get to collaborate together. You know what I mean? It'll be like
Hmm.
straight hair with like curly hair on the top.
Perfect.
And somewhere you're saying perfect, but you're actually like, shaking your head. You're like, perfect.
Perfect. Perfect. Amazing.
Verbally, you're saying yes, but body language says no.
Well, it sounds like those are really exciting projects. And for everyone listening, definitely check out all of ONCH's offerings throughout the year. And we'll probably check in again next year, see how those went.
Yep.
Well, with that, if you like this episode, leave us a rating and review on your favorite podcast platform. That's how folks find us and discover our episodes. And if you want to get in touch with us, you can follow us at Yellow Glitter PD Pod on socials to give us your thoughts or any guest recommendation. Feel free to email us also from our website. And then on top, if you're visiting our website, you can listen to full episodes, show notes, and transcripts as well there. Anch, thank you so much for being on again. Love having you.
Thank you. And hey, before I head out, I just want to say, as a collective from our community, I want to say thank you for giving us the space and a platform to tell our stories and speak our truths and really share our experiences with everyone. Hopefully, what you're doing and what I'm doing is inspiring others to do better and live a better life. And I think I just want to say thank you from every listener and every guest that's been on your show. We adore you. You're doing amazing, and keep on doing what
Thank
you do.
you.
You're
Thank
killing
you. I
it.
appreciate that. Well, with that, thank you everyone for listening. I hope you got a little bit out of it, a little nugget of wisdom, a little pep in your step, and a little joyride on your little roller coaster of your life. Thank you. And with that, we'll chat with y'all later. Bye now.